Using a special gimbal head for panorama photography may seem a little complicated, but in this video, we'll explain the most important advantage of using a gimbal in simple terms to help you decide if a panorama head is the right tool for you. I'm Matt from Viewfinder, where we give you the education, inspiration, and motivation to take your photography further. In this video, we're coming to you from Winterthur, Switzerland to talk about the main advantage of using a panoramic gimbal head for shooting ultra-wide panoramas. If you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our next helpful video. Okay, let's dive into the gear. So before I get into this, let me first explain what Parallax is with a little demonstration using my two light stands right here. So I'm going to go ahead and reposition the camera for that. As I move my camera over to the left or right side, you can see that the second stand is starting to reveal itself due to the parallax difference. This will mess up my stitching for sure because the differences between the pictures will be too much for the software to handle. Parallax is just a fancy word that describes the difference in how a scene looks from different perspectives. When moving the camera from one position to the next, things which are close to the camera appear to have moved a lot, while the background remains relatively static. This causes our software to struggle and can give you strange distortions in your final image. It will be much less of an issue if your shot has little or no foreground, but as elements of your scene get closer to the camera, this distortion is bound to show up if you don't correct for the parallax problem. Okay, there is a special piece of equipment in my camera bag today. This is a PG-01 panoramic gimbal head from a company in the US called Really Right Stuff. And this replaces completely the typical ball head that I have on top of my tripod for doing all kinds of other photography. So I'm going to put that off to the side and talk about this gimbal head for a second. So why would you bother with a gimbal head actually? The first main advantage of a gimbal head is that it allows us to completely level out all of the shots that we're doing in our sequence. You notice that when I was doing my pictures on the Goldenberg, I often had to loosen the ball head and just readjust the camera a bit to ensure that each picture I was taking from left to right was nice and even all the way across. I don't have to worry about that at all with the PG-01. I simply open up the leveling ball that's right there at the base. I look at a small bubble level that's right at the end of this arm here. There's a spirit level. I'm watching it carefully, and as soon as I have the bubble right in the middle of the circle, I can tighten down this wing nut right here. And now my base is completely level. Even if I swing it over here to the right, the bubble's still in the middle, here, still in the middle, still in the middle, still in the middle. So I'm gonna have a perfectly flat horizon going all the way across, and that saves me a lot of time actually as I'm shooting these shots. The second big advantage is that the combination of these parts here allow me to reposition the camera so that the lens is actually directly over the apex of the tripod. So this is a key difference because you noticed before in my demonstration that as I moved the camera from left to right, you could actually see around the light stand and you experience that parallax effect. But by moving the camera back so that the no parallax point in the lens is directly over the apex of the tripod, that's going to completely eliminate that parallax difference that you saw in my example. Because you can control both the left to right arc of the head and the elevation that the camera is pointing towards, you can actually choose between doing single and multi-row panoramas, which enables all kinds of possibilities. So that's what all this allows me to do. And to attach the camera, I actually need this extra MPCR Nodal Slide. So this is the one which was recommended for this setup here. Important to realize is that when you're picking up a Nodal Slide, it's going to be different depending on your lens. And what you want to avoid is a Nodal Slide that's longer than your lens. You could actually start to see the Nodal Slide in your shot if you're using an extreme wide angle lens and it was protruding, further than the lens is. So this is appropriately sized for my 17mm lens and also works on my wide angle. So that's great. And what we need to do now is figure out how far back to move the camera so that we've reached that no parallax point and we get that benefit from the gimbal head. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to clip the Nodal Slide onto this arm, and I have a small centering dot right here in the top of this wing nut. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly loosen this knob here, and I'm just going to carefully slide the lens backwards and forwards until I can see that small black dot appearing in the centermost autofocus point on the back of my LCD screen. So I'm watching, I've got the center box selected, and I'm just trying to put it directly around that black dot. And I'm just carefully moving and looking at the LCD and making very small adjustments. And once I've got that directly over, now I know I have the right setting. Now we know that the lens is right over the tripod, so our next step is to find its no parallax point. For that, we simply move the camera and lens backward until we cannot see any more parallax when we swing the lens from the left to right while looking at these light stands. Once you're confident that the rear stand is staying hidden behind the first one, just take note of all of your measurements. Check out the before and after here. It's no wonder that the panoramas come together so much easier with this device. I hope you find that information helpful as you consider whether to add a panoramic gimbal head to your own photography arsenal. Let me take the chance to quickly tell you about the fantastic courses that we run over at viewfindermastery.com. If you want to learn photography in a clear and structured way from professional photography educators, then come and check us out over at viewfindermastery.com. We've got courses in all kinds of photography topics, from portraiture and sports photography to landscape and Lightroom, you name it. Of course, you don't have to take my word for it. We've got great customer ratings, so just check out our Google and Facebook ratings to hear what others are saying first. And then I would love to see you join us over at viewfindermastery.com. I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. Please like and share this video with your photography friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video.